If you just got your xTool P3 conveyor feeder, you're gonna need to watch this video before you move any further into testing out the conveyor feeder for yourself. Because if you don't set up the conveyor feeder correctly, you're gonna get this dreaded noise. Once you get that noise, your project is essentially garbage because you can't go back. I'm gonna show you today how we get really large cutouts like this with a sheet of plywood right here and never wasting a piece of material ever again. And for the people that have already been victimized by that dreaded noise, I am so sorry that I'm late to the game on teaching you how to use this properly. So the conveyor feeder for the xTool P2 and the P2S, also the P3, kind of work pretty similar. The main biggest difference here is if you have the xTool P3, the conveyor feeder for that one is 100% automated. It's really cool. The other thing I love about the conveyor feeder for the xTool P3 is that you really only need this table right here because the entire conveyor feeder system all hooks into this machine and you don't actually need multiple tables. With the xTool P2 and the P2S, you had to have 3 tables, one for the machine, one for the conveyor feeder in the front and the back. You just needed a whole lot of things and that was so much work. Also, I keep saying also because now there's 3 things. The other thing is once you install the bad boy, you never have to reinstall it versus the xTool P2 and the P2S. Once you took it out, you had to do it again and again and again. It just was a nightmare. Now I am going to put a little disclaimer here that we are going to be using the xTool P3. The setup process is essentially the same inside the software, but if you were looking for a dedicated video of how to operate your xTool P2 and your P2S with that conveyor feeder, I already have a really cool video about that explaining how to set up the entire conveyor feeder for that particular machine. So you're gonna wanna watch that particular video if that's what you're looking for. But today I'm gonna show you how we use the xTool P3 and their automatic conveyor feeder, how to set it up and how to not get crappy cuts in waste material. Let's set this bad boy up first and then we'll go to the software. All right, so I'm gonna move my piece of wood out of the way. We're gonna use that in a second. This was a cutout I did for the unboxing. Bad boy is huge. No issues at all. I also have my vent already venting out of the window. This right here is crucial. You have to make sure that you're either venting out of window or you're gonna need to use the AP2 Max, not the standard AP, the AP2 Max. I think it has like 2 additional filters. I don't know, I don't use it. But I do love the fact that it's going out of a window now, so it does contain a lot of the smell right out there. So I love this work table situation because it's super easy to roll around. Are gonna need to pull this out a pretty hefty distance because it needs to accommodate the piece of wood on the front and the back. So it's about to get stuffed in this craft room because the craft room really isn't truly that large, but the cool thing is I'm gonna pull it out, do a cut, and then push it back to the wall, and then it's gonna be like a space-saving situation. All right, so we're pulled out pretty far from the wall, but I, again, just wanna make sure and accommodate the piece of wood that we are going to be using for today's project. The other thing that I would love to mention is that I am only gonna be using 1 set of rails for the front and the back because you really only need 1 for this piece of wood. It's 2 foot by 4 foot wide. However, if you had a longer piece of wood, let's say 12 foot long, you can buy additional rails and then you would need the 3 tables to accommodate for the rails. So it is possible to do something extremely larger than what I have here, but because I only have 1 working table, I'm only gonna use 1 set of arms. That is what comes with the conveyor feeder, is just a set of arms. You can buy more if you need to. Now there is a little bit of setup that has to be done with the conveyor feeder, but it's not anything like the P2 and the P2S conveyor feeder. All you have to do is drop the hatch right here. This is magnetic, and then you are gonna get 2 of your rails. Okay, with these 2 rails, what you wanna do is hook on this bottom one to kind of where the base plate is. This right here is your base plate. There's like a little lip that's on top. You're gonna wanna slide that in there, and then you're gonna be able to slide your bracket into place. When you're done, all you have to do is just tighten the screws. You'll know when you have it done correctly when you can put weight on it and it doesn't fall back on you. Over at the back of the machine, all you have to do is take off this right here. This is magnetic. You could just set this off to the side. There are going to be a couple rails that you need to put in back here. If you've unplugged your attachment tool, You want to plug that in now. Make sure that your machine is off when you do that. And it's essentially the same type of thing when it comes to the back of the machine. You have the same rails. This, however, what you want to do is insert onto the very right and then slide them over like that. Same thing with this. You just want to insert it into this like bracket thing. Oops. And then slide it over. When you're there, you should know it will, it'll be there. You want to tighten them up. The bottom has that same lip as the front on the back. Now, when you have that in there, what you want to do is just tighten this up until they don't want to wiggle. So right now we have it wiggling. Tightening it up will make it not wiggle around. Now, the only other thing that you have to do is at the back of the machine, there's this like rectangle cutout thing. You want to make sure and take out this cutout. It's honestly easier if you go from the back and just stick your hand through the conveyor feeder and push it. It'll pop right out, so you don't have to ruin your fingernail polish if you have nicely painted fingers. So this right here, just like that other back cover, you can set to the side because you don't need it right now. And then the one other thing that you are gonna have to do is right here at the front of your machine, there's this like little cover thing. You're gonna wanna open that, okay? Needs to be open. Your machine, if you weren't doing the conveyor feeder and just using this, it actually won't run if this is open. So you just wanna make sure that it's open. And also there's another sensor right there as well. These sensors are actually really important. One of the main differences between the xTool conveyor feeder for the P2 and the P2S versus the P3 is that it is automatic. And the thing that I love the most is that unlike the xTool and the xTool P2S, if you ran out of material, you wouldn't know. With this one, the machine does know if you've ran out of material. One thing to note, okay, is that you are gonna have some waste before and after your piece of wood. The reason for that is the machine clamps your material down and needs material on the side to side in order to move your material side to side. So you are gonna have a bit of waste. How much? Well, you're gonna have this little fabric measuring tape, and the actual measurements you have to be able to cover the machine sensor on the back and also the front. Now the machine, I have it fully covered. The machine cutting doesn't start till about here. So you have about 6 inches on the front that you are going to have as waste. And then also you're gonna go here and you're gonna need about 6 inches on the back for waste. So while I have a 4-foot piece of wood, I actually only have 3 feet of cutting ability because we have to acquire for 6 inches in the front and 6 inches in the back. So when we set up our cut, we are gonna remember that when I set it up, I only can make something 36 inches long instead of 4 foot because I need the machine to be able to hold my material in place, slide it around, and not have any issues. That's a fun little fact, and that will help avoid the dreaded noise that everyone it scares everyone and then also ruins your material. Okay, so now that we have everything set up, what you want to do now is turn your xTool P3 on, just on the back of the machine. It's going to start back up. I do know that we are not going to be doing any engraving today, so I'm going to put this nozzle on here on my thing because this right here you're going to need in order to do any type of cutting. You take it off. What I've discovered is you take it off when you're doing some engravings. All it does is it screws on. It's not that hard. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to head over into the software and set something up. Okay, over at the xTool Studio software, this is not the same software as xTool Creative Space. If you are using the P3, you have to use the Studio. You're going to want to come over here into New Project. I am already connected to my P3 and my Automatic Conveyor Feeder is already set up. So what I want to do is come down here into Mode, and I want to click on that, and I'm going to be using the Conveyor Feeder. So I'm going to click on that. Want to make sure that we rise the base, so we're going to raise it up. The machine is going to automatically do that for us. Okay, at this point, what you could do is now insert your piece of material. So I'm just going to put this into my bed, slide it through this. And what I like to do is I like to take the edge of my material and line it up to the very back of the sensor, giving me the least amount of waste as possible. Okay, so at the back of the machine, you're gonna see this thing that's right here. That is your sensor. I'm gonna pull my material through. It's a lot easier with two hands. Okay, I'm gonna pull my material through and I'm gonna make sure that it covers this sensor all the way. You could just leave it like that where it barely covers it, but then what I like to do is just take this and make sure that my piece of wood is nicely aligned to the back, because this right here, the back of your conveyor feeder, is 100% straight. Okay, and then obviously we are covering the front of the sensor with the rest of the wood. So what we want to do now is head back over to the software. And then at the software, what you want to do is make sure you're set to rigid material if you're using wood. Apparently you can do flexible material like leather and felt. You just want to make sure that you are selected on the correct material. And then what you want to do is come over here to this button right here, and it's going to auto measure and clamp your material into place. All automatic. This is how cool this machine is. It's literally all automatic and makes things so easy to use. Okay, what just happened is now you're not going to be able to pull your material out because it's clamped it into place. Remember, it's clamped it and it's going to feed it through just like this. But then also it's auto measured to know the thickness of my material. All automatic. I want you to know it's all automatic. If you haven't quite figured it out, I've said the words automatic like 100 times already, and I want you to truly know it is automatic. It is so cool. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to set up a cut, right? What I'm gonna do, it is almost Halloween. So what I want to do is I want to create like a really large skeleton cutout. I'm unsure on whether or not xTool has anything for a skeleton. They have this, but it's not connected to anything. And that would make for like a terrible cut. So I'm going to go over into Creative Fabrica and I'm going to look for a skeleton SVG file. Okay, so I love this one right here. He's so funny. Maybe even this one. I think this one's dancing. But okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press download. And then what I'm going to do is go back over into the xTool Studio, find my SVG file, and then I'm going to drag and drop my skeleton into the xTool Studio software. Okay, there is going to be a little bit of adjustments that I'm going to need to do because you can see that the head is not connected to the body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this. And I'm going to do ungroup, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this down until it connects together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both pieces and I'm going to come up here into this unite button and I'm going to press unite. Unite is just welding, making sure that it is one solid piece so we don't have like anything that's missing later. All right, I am going to set this to a cut. And then here's the most important thing that I can tell you that you need to do with this conveyor feeder. It doesn't matter if it's the xTool P2, P2S, or even the P3, is we want to come down here and make sure that you have this on. This is called tab generation. In the xTool P3 unboxing, I kind of explained what tab generation means, but it is outside of making sure that you have enough material in place. This is your next most important thing. When you do cutouts like this, the machine is going to be actively moving back to back. And you have your slats that are right here supporting your material up. When you have cutouts like this that go out, if it falls and doesn't fall through your slats, then it's going to get jammed up, creating that dreaded noise. The other thing that is why it's so important is when it starts to do your large cutout, the full outside of this, if it starts right here and starts cutting this, as it goes through your material, if you didn't do the tabs, your material is going to drop, and it can drop just ever so slightly. But as it pulls through your machine, it goes through the back of that machine, that little slot. If this piece of cutout just drops just a little bit, you're gonna get jammed up again, giving you that dreaded noise. So how to avoid that is creating tabs. Now, this is the one thing that I really wish somebody would give me a guide on, like how many tabs you need per cutout, like in linear feet. I talking to my husband about it and I was like, ugh, I'm going to get asked, well, Ashley, how many tabs should I use for a cutout? Well, I don't know because I haven't quite figured out the magic number here. I did 10, 20 per cutout here. I think that was way too much. 20 cutouts or 20 tabs was way too much for this. I also have tried it with 5. I don't think 5's enough. So anywhere between 5 and 20, I think you're going to be golden. Now, here's the deal is if you do too many, which I did, I firmly think I did, then just use an X-acto knife and like trim out the tabs. If I have to do that with this cutout, I'll show you how to do that, but it's not that hard. I did it with this cutout. Now, what the tabs look like is going to be, if you can see right here, there is going to be this like weird little hiccup mark right here. That is not a missed cut. I did that manually by doing the tabs. It is a lot easier to see them right here inside my cutouts. You're gonna see it like here inside where it looks like the machine hiccuped a whole bunch of times. Again, not a missed cut. The machine did not cut it out appropriately. We told to put the tabs in there. Now, when I had too many tabs in here, I had to use an X-acto knife. If you're concerned about your cutout looking strange because the machine has all these hiccup marks, you really can't tell that there is anything wrong with this cutout or that there is hiccup marks unless you're looking for them. But I would much rather you have too many hiccups and then X-acto knife them out versus not having enough and ruining a piece of material, because that's what we're trying to avoid, is ruining material, because once you cut it, you can't put it back through the feeder again. All right, so what we need to do now is create the size of what my material is. You wanna make sure that you are reminded of 2 things. One is how much cutout you can create, accounting for the waste that you have on the front and the back of the machine. So for me, it was a total of 12 inches. So I'm only gonna be able to do a 36-inch tall cutout. So I'm gonna do 36 inches. But then also my width of this material is 24 inches wide. So I'm gonna do 24 inches. Awesome. And we are going to make this in the center, okay? Now, if you are worried about this as a centered sign, like if you were doing one of those porch signs, the very top of this right here is going to be where the machine starts to cut. The machine starts to cut about here, which is 6 inches, and then down here is also 6 inches. But really, the top of your work area is going to be right here. It's not going to be at the back side, it's going to be right here. So if you're worried about positioning because you're going to like score this or engrave this to be like a perfectly positioned porch sign or something like that, you do want to keep in mind that we have to like think outside the box when you're doing a conveyor feeder for this, okay? I am just going to put this all the way to the very top, and I'm gonna put it in the center of my material, just like this, or I guess the center of my workspace, just like this. You wanna make sure that we are set to 20 inches, nothing wider than your material, and then obviously account for the length of your material. I'm only gonna be able to get, what if I resize him to 36 inches on the length? Does he look funny that way? I'm gonna do it this way anyways. I know he looks a little funky, but that's okay. I just wanna make sure, that I give you a good cut. All right, now what we need to do is set up our cutting parameters. So let's go up here into unknown material. And I am using, just wanna verify exactly what I'm using. If you're new to laser ownership, a cheap pair of calipers, people would actually like to argue with you that getting yourself an expensive pair of calipers will do wonders. I wouldn't know. I got a cheap one. These are like $5. They've lasted me forever. I just get what I get, and it has never done me dirty. But I am going to make sure and verify my thickness of my material. 5.3 millimeters. This calipers, I'm telling you right now, get yourself a pair of calipers if you're new to laser ownership, because it's very important. So 5.33 millimeters for this. So doing 3 millimeters is obviously not going to give me the best settings. So I'm going to bump up to 6 millimeters and press apply. Obviously things are flammable when we're using a laser. Laser does equal fire. I can tell you, knock on wood, that I have never had a fire, but you know, I'm okay. I just always baby my machine. Okay, it tells me there's no way that this is 1 power 16 speed. Hold on here. All right, I'm going to try the 15-200 speed. We'll see how that works for us. I don't know if that's going to be good. You want to make sure and do the tab generation anywhere between, what did I say? Anywhere between 2 and 20, 5 and 20 sounds good. I think I am going to do 10. We'll do 10 for right now. All right, now the next most important thing that I want you to do is come down here and press this button right here that's called framing, okay? What that does is it's going to give you like a mock preview of what the machine is going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my happy button at the top. What's going to happen is you're going to follow this line. This head is going to tell you this is where it's going to cut out. If you set this up correctly and you accounted for all of the excess thing, you're going to see how I have about 6 inches left over, and it's going to pull it all the way through, and we're not going to get any type of error notices. Everything looks like it's going to run smoothly. I have this set up perfectly where I'm not going to waste on any material. But if you didn't do the tabs, that's the thing that didn't account for. Okay, so you kind of have to make sure everything is set up correctly in order for it to work. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to shut the window, the lid, because we are ready to rumble at this point. All right, at the machine, we are going to be doing frame complete because we are done. We are going to now press process. We are going to redetect my lens. All right, once we've pressed the redetected, what you want to do now is just press the start button. It's going to take a total of 6 minutes and 50 seconds to do. Now what we want to do is make sure that your inline fan is turned on. I have mine set to the highest setting because I love the fact that it sucks it straight out the window. Then what we are going to do is press the happy button at the top of the machine, and we are going to watch this bad boy do the cuts. Looking at the machine, I do love the fact that we get this cool little preview on our actual computer. So then if you were doing this somewhere else, which I highly do not suggest, you can see it from your computer. All right, so now the process is complete, so we can turn off our inline fan. If you have it set up via Bluetooth, you could totally do that too. I don't have mine set up to be a Bluetooth, but when we can open up the thing, when your machine is done, it will release your material, so you don't have to do that. But look at my finished skeleton. Yes, it is still technically connected into the material. That's because of the tabs. So all you have to do is just kind of bang it out. Obviously, if you're doing acrylic, you want to make sure that you don't overly do this because you'll break your acrylic. All right, and remember, you are going to have some wasted material on the front and on the back. But if you had like a little saw situation, you could totally trim that up and then have smaller pieces of scrap material to put into your bed. Okay, so this right here, they don't actually want to pop out freely as much as what the bigger one did, and that's because we have those tabs. So what I'm going to do is take my X-acto knife. I should probably get a brand new blade, but I'm not going to. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my X-acto knife and I'm going to kind of drag it across my material to release those tabs. Okay, we're on my glass working table now because I can have more control over my X-acto knife on a table. All right, there we have it. A perfectly good cutout, no issues at all. With a little bit of elbow grease, you have your things punched out, but the fact of the matter is that we have a perfectly good cutout and no wasted material. Now, although my fingers are super dirty, what I am going to do is I'm going to paint this sucker black, and I'm going to put him in my front yard because he's huge. Look at this thing. And with only owning the xTool P3 and the conveyor feeder and only using it twice, this is safe to say that I know what I'm doing. And if you follow what we've learned today, you will also get perfect cutouts every single time. All right, y'all, I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I'll see you later.